Since the beginning of comics, and even literature as a whole, every character has had deciding weakness. Be it Superman's kryptonite, Achilles' heel, or even Spider-Man's weakness toward his family and friends, they all have something in common. Something that reduces their status from god or demigod or superhuman to something a bit more ordinary and vulnerable. Whether this weakness was known to the audience or kept a secret does not change the fact that no character is fully immortal or impeccable, as this would take away from the story, creating a character with no flaws, nothing to build upon, and ultimately a flawed storyline with no takeaways or lesson. Now, join me as we explore Blackfoot Sanji, a main protagonist in the One Piece manga and anime, and see how his weakness is not so far-fetched and teaches us a lot about ourselves in turn. What is the word, YouTube? Thank you for watching Zen Forum. I'm your host Zen. Today we have a very interesting topic and an even more interesting character to go along with it. You do not want to miss it. This will definitely be my best video yet. Just an alert, there may be some spoilers in this one, so I'll keep it as limited as possible, but watch with caution please. We're diving very deep on this one, guys. If you're new to the channel, leave a like, a comment, and hit that subscription button for more content like this. We post daily and weekly, so be on the lookout for that. And make sure you watch to the very end for a very special announcement. Thank you. One Piece's power scaling is unique from any other power scaling. Although they do have an energy system such as Chakra in Naruto and Ki in the Dragon Ball universe, the power system of Haki and Ryo isn't introduced till much later in the manga and anime. The only way to truly scale power in One Piece is through bounties, which every wanted pirate or criminal gets based on his or her deeds and who he defeats. What I love about the bounties is that there's room for error in these bounties, as we see throughout the show, especially with the main protagonist Luffy. He scales in bounties so much faster because he's always defeating people with higher bounties than himself. A good example of this is Kaido and Big Mom's bounty, which are about 4,600,000,000 berries and 4,300,000,000 berries respectively when we first get their bounty readings in the show. Now, although this should clearly indicate that Kaido is the stronger of the two, as well as Kaido's moniker as the strongest creature alive, it's still up to interpretation who the stronger of the two are and where they stand when placed up to other emperors such as Whitebeard or Red Hair Shanks. This leaves a lot of room for conjecture. This concept will greatly help us understand Sanji's condition later in the video. For those who don't know, Blackfoot Sanji is the head chef of the Going Merry and also the Thousand Sunny, the ships that the Straw Hats use on their adventures. He is also a part of the Big Three, as I like to call it, consisting of Straw Hat Luffy and Pirate Hunter Zoro, as well as Blackfoot Sanji, of course. I classify them as such because in terms of raw power, strength, and feats, no one out of the group ever comes close to these three, their feats only being comparable to one another's. They've been referred to many times as monsters when describing their power and abilities. This is further reinforced when after the time skip, only these three are capable of using Haki in any capacity. This is an ability that sets Devil Fruit users and normal characters apart from the rest. You cannot be an overwhelmingly strong character without this. Now I'll explain why bounties do and don't matter. Bounties matters because yes, of course, someone with a bounty of 100k would never be able to defeat someone with a bounty of 5 million. However, this is why I love the system that Oda created, because it leaves room to plot for random or miraculous things to happen. Bounty is not the end all be all. Take Zoro for instance. Zoro is the vice captain of the crew and presumed to be the second strongest. Up until the third bounty, his was always higher than Sanji's. However, the two have had a rather interesting rivalry that always shows them bickering and fighting, and this kind of makes the viewer stop and wonder. I wonder who actually is the stronger out of the two. Zoro tends to take the stronger enemies, but whenever they have a 2-on-2 or simultaneous fights against worthy opponents, which happens quite often in One Piece, it's kind of implied that either of them could have fought either enemy with the same desired outcome. Something else that supports this are the fights in the Land of Wano arc, where Zoro seems to be just as strong as the captains of the worst generation, taking attacks that even they are afraid to get in front of, making me wonder if Luffy is even stronger than Zoro or if it's all just plot armor. In Sanji's case, we need to remember the Germa 66 Big Mom arc, where Sanji was kidnapped and forced to marry into Big Mom's family. In an attempt to get his cook and crew member back, Luffy infiltrates the island and goes after his friend. Sanji, who is trying to protect his crewmates, agrees to the wedding for fear that Big Mom will kill all the Straw Hats and his old cooking crew from the aquatic restaurant, the Barati, if he refuses to comply. At some point, Luffy finally confronts Sanji in this arc and a battle ensues. Now, although Luffy had just finished fighting one of Big Mom's Sweet 3 generals and he did not want to fight back because he didn't believe in this fight, Sanji still wiped the floor with him and I believe he would have and could have killed Luffy if not for him maybe pulling his punches. He loves Luffy and of course the plot armor. I've said all of that to say this. It's not that Sanji is the weaker or stronger of the big three. In fact, I believe that what the mangaka of this show is trying to tell us is that we are only as strong as our self-actualized and self-realized weaknesses. For anyone that doesn't watch One Piece, you'll soon realize that Sanji is a serial womanizer. His love of women can be detrimental to his safety, health, and overall well-being. It's actually nothing short of crippling for the flame-footed chef. We see this in an over-eagerness to fight for, protect, and provide for Nami and Nico Robin, the only consistent female members of the crew. He would cook for, clean, love, and protect any woman without asking for anything in return. He sees cooking for his fellow male crew members as nothing short of a nuisance. This condition has extended to Sanji's fighting. Sanji is a formidable foe with fiery kicks and a battlesuit that places potential very high in the One Piece manga. The caveat with Sanji is this: he has a bounty of 0 when it comes to fighting women. There is a comical yet satirical understanding that Sanji's greatest virtue and his greatest weakness is his love of women. From creepy anime nosebleeds to falling in love at first sight with literally every woman he meets, there have been many arcs where Sanji has been faced with a female opponent and this has been used to either trap him or incapacitate him. Sanji has sworn against hitting a woman, a very noble decision to live by. However, in the anime and manga we see that this does not hold up very well. This circumstance has led to many losses for Sanji throughout the anime. Many times he needs to be saved by those stronger and weaker than him because of his disability. I believe that this is what makes Sanji the weakest of the big three, maybe even the weakest Straw Hat of all. A lot of young men, and men in general, can learn a lot from Sanji's plight. In fact, I believe Eiichiro Oda has created Sanji's character just for this purpose, as he often uses humor and comedy to highlight and expand on real-world issues. A lot of men, especially in today's time, pedestalize women to their own detriment. Instead of working on their purpose or building a solid life foundation, men have opted to have girlfriends who bend them to their every whim. There's nothing wrong with loving your significant other. However, you cannot be like Sanji, who allows his love of women to cripple and castrate him. He loses all of his charm, strength, and ability to function as a normal member of the crew when his weakness for women is exploited. In fact, during the time skip, Sanji is hilariously subjected to Okama training on New Kama Island in order to become stronger. If you're not sure what Okama is, look it up, please. Ultimately, it is very imperative of every man to have sexual discipline and control their lust. Do not allow it to be your kryptonite. Thank you for tuning in, guys. That was the video. Remember, we had that $150 gift card that goes to the subscriber with the most meaningful comments. So continue sharing with your friends, continue subscribing, and just building this platform. I thank you guys for being Zen with me. And once again, thank you for watching Zen Form. Find your Zen, your final form. I'll see you next time, guys.